Thank you for coming. Today I'm going to talk about Swizzle Sticks, and I know most of you all collect chips and tokens, and these Swizzles are, well, we'll get into Vegas, but we're going to start with the who, what, where, and why. What's a Swizzle Stick? Blah, blah, blah. Exciting. So, but first, who am I? I am the Queen of Swizzle, aka Pam. My origin story is I pulled out a skull swizzle stick from my mom's little bowl of pencils that was on the table, and it was a skull. And, you know, that skull just looked up and talked to me. He was like, "Hey, Pam. Hey, Pam, what a amazing thing that you found me. I'm from the Ivanhoe restaurant. We have dining and dancing, and we have skeletons popping out behind corners, and what a wonderful world." And when I heard him speaking to me about the history of a place that my mom had gone dancing in, oh, I'm failing 101 conference. Oh, don't ask me why, but the South Point Casino's calling me. Cut. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Here's a picture of those similar swizzle sticks to the ones that I found there. I knew that I was going to be the Queen of Swizzle at that moment. And sadly, a few months later during a move, that swizzle stick, among a whole pile of jewelry, was stolen during my move. And I went on eBay to try to find another. There was one in a big bag of swizzle sticks, and the rest is history. So, you know, 7 years later, I have 50,000 swizzle sticks. I'll just show you just a couple today. Once I was interested in swizzle sticks, I went Googling, and I found this website from approximately 1987, somewhere 1993. It says Yahoo on the bottom, so you know how old it was. And it said International Swizzle Stick Collectors Association. And I was like, I gotta see who these people are. So I went to their convention, and I ordered their swizzle sticks and their newsletters, and I said, just give me all of your newsletters. I think they were $1.50 each. Well, a few weeks later, 3 30-pound boxes of newsletters arrived at my door. Thanks, FedEx. So, yeah. Anyway, most of the members have long since left us, but I'm here to carry on the tradition that was started by Polly Rusk and Ray Hoare. I just like to just give them a moment of props, because I know I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. And I joined the group to help carry on the tradition.
So was that 1985?
I think their first
I think I can read it here.
Oh, yeah. I see. We were established in 1985.
That predates us by 3 years.
Oh my, okay. Well, these guys were going in Vancouver, and I think the first convention was 1987, and they had one every 2 years, really until the last of them passed away. It was, you know, they went for a long run, and I became an enthusiast. So let's talk about swizzle sticks. And someone is going to just help me turn off my phone somehow. Okay, I finally found the off button. I'm so sorry. So if you were just to say, what is a swizzle stick? I would say, or most people would say, it's a drink stirrer, which is, you know, comes in your cup with a cocktail, and you may take it home as a souvenir, or you may not, you know. So people kept them just for that reason, memories of their trips and such. But before there was anything called a swizzle stick, almost the beginning of time, there was always something to stir stuff with. And this Roman artifact. Stirring rod from 100 BC to 500 BC. Just want to point out that there's a little figural bird at the top of it. And it's like, we didn't get around to doing this until the 50s. And lo and behold, this is probably worst day of my life. No, sorry. I don't know why. Off, all the way off. Okay. So when I saw this swizzle stick, I said, it took us forever to ever, recreate the theme and start putting figural touches on it. I sure would love this one in my collection, but I don't think the museum will let it go. Now, what was the first swizzle stick that was called a swizzle stick was this baby. And if you can pronounce the name of this tree, you get a free swizzle stick. Quararibia turbinata, aka the swizzle stick tree. It was and it still is a species indigenous to the Caribbean. Some call it bois lele from Martinique. And if you look at this tree branch, you'll see that it branches out, and right next to it, you will see the finished swizzle stick that are still made today out of the tree branches. So bartenders use them, and they stir like this, like if you were making a fire over, with a piece of wood. And someone said that the genuine swizzle stick is no plastic advertisement skewered on an olive. It's a bit of a tree changed into nature's blender. So that's Dom Pennock wrote an ebook called Bumbershoots. If you are a Brit, it means umbrella. Don't ask me why. So knowing that it was a tree in Martinique, how the heck did it get over here? Did it get even to London? And the answer is Lady Annie Brassey. She was the coolest woman. She knocks my socks off. She was a sailor. She was a famous writer. She was just everything. They had 5 children. One died. Her name was Candace. Actually, William, you want to show them the original swizzle? Show them the skulls. No, you bring them. Pass them around. All right. So Lady Annie Brassey's everybody's role model. Her 5th youngest child died of scarlet fever. And just wait for the swizzle connection here, folks. She realized that the key to the success of the cocktails that she was experiencing in Trinidad were that the secret to them was that they were stirred with this swizzle stick tree branch. And she said, let's see if I have an actual quote from her. Actually, I don't know if I do have the quote. Lady Brassey wanted to bring it home to others, and she did. On her boat, the Sunbeam, which had a mast of her youngest daughter who had died of scarlet fever. So Charlotte was on the masthead of the boat as they sailed across. And sadly, Lady Annie Brassey did die on the ship of malaria and was buried at sea, but she made it back to bring this to us. So she was gone at the age of 47. Now, how did we get from this to this? Or this? And I'm going to offer you the man who I hold responsible for this chaos, Jack Sindler, aka Mr. Spirit. Could be considered the father of the swizzle stick, but I would say Probably not. What he was the founder of the American branded plastic Swizzle Stick. That meant your name here, signed, and calling them a promotional made him a pretty much instant millionaire. So here's Jack. He's the dude. Here's his patent for the first thing that he did not even call Swizzle Stick. He called it an eating implement. It had a point on the end, and the purpose of it was to get that olive or cherry out of the bottom of your drink without putting your whole hand in there. So that may be apocryphal, that he was sitting at a bar and a bell went off. Now, when he probably had that first thought, it was before Prohibition had ended. And the day that it ended, he was basically at the patent door with this one. Just first out of the gate. The first ones weren't plastic, they were beech wood, and they looked like this. They kind of had a little fork, and the whole focus at that time was that getting that cherry and olive. There wasn't really plastic injection molding until the space age, so wood was around, but when the technology got there, he went on to something that looked like this, with a point at the end, thus his name and the name of his company, Spear It. Spirit, yay. The features, right, pointed end, paddle top, and your name here. That was the real heart of his patent. Oh gosh, I don't think I told you guys about Gold Swizzle Stick, but we'll have to get back to that. But before there were those, he was walking around. He was a World War II engineer making gas masks, I think. It was all hush-hush. So I guess when he came out of the war, he got to work on his first patent. This is just This is just some of them, how they started, little spoons, forks. He branched out into basically anything plastic in the restaurant business, those little sticks that are in your hamburger, the things that say this is medium rare, you name it. If he could sell it, he sold it, and he had a really great company. So this is some of those, and I kind of think of it as an evolution. It started with that little paddle, and then they got bigger, and then they got designs, and then they got three-dimensional. And at the height of this craze, I just want to read you guys this from 1979. United Airlines bought 27 million Swizzle Sticks. So are you going to say they're rare? Maybe not. But still, how many lasted to the present day? The Holiday Inn bought 500 million a year, and TWA purchased 20 million. The Hilton and Hawaiian Village bought about 500,000. So that's just in 1979. So the big guys got in to the action, and we started to get more commonly seeing the kind of pretty ones. So next, where does the word swizzle come from? Well, it could come from a Random House dictionary definition, a rod for stirring highballs and cocktails. The Century Dictionary and Encyclopedic Lexicon of the English Language said it comes from a combination of the words swill and guzzle. The 1891 dictionary said, oh no, it's a combination of switchel and fizz. So your guess is as good as mine. So this is the question that came to mind. Did Swizzle Sticks play a role in the American Revolution? I think you guys need to know this in case you're playing a Trivial Pursuit game sometime. And I would say, yes, as a matter of fact, it did play a role in the American Revolution. And I know this from the Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue in 1785. We all needed that dictionary of bad words. And this lovely man brought them to us. His name was Francis Gross, Esquire. And in this little definition, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll read it to you, defined swizzle as a drink or any stiff or windy liquor in North America, a mixture of spruce, rum, sugar. The 17th Regiment had a society called the Swizzle Club at Ticonderoga in 1760. Thus, I would say that's where they really started swizzling and calling it swizzle. So some of this is just mind-bending, and it's just so random in a way. We had Lady Brassey hopping on a ship. We had Jack Sindler, the gas mask engineer. We had Francis Gross Esquire finding dirty words of the time. So then let's go to one of the most common questions I get. What's your most expensive swizzle stick? And I would say it's a 10K gold telescoping pendant champagne swizzle. And these guys looked like this. I'm going to skip ahead here for 1 second. It came like this, and when you pulled the top of it, it opened up. And if you see this little thing, it's very reminiscent of that tree from Trinidad. However, I don't think they connected. This was used by ladies, to pop the bubbles in their champagne to prevent flatulence. So, I don't know, they spent all that money getting the bubbles into champagne, and then Queen Elizabeth had them, and all around that time. My little one is worth $300. This one, who was given to Audrey Hepburn as a present after a movie, was engraved and sold for the movie Gigi, if you know Audrey Hepburn movies, and sold for over 25,000 pounds at auction. So if it has some sort of, provenance, then you might get big bucks for them. Otherwise, it's linked to the price of gold. Cartier and Tiffany's made them, and they were very popular in the 40s. I think they may still make them, but I really don't think they're their bestseller. So there's another one here. If you were talking money, $1 Million Baby, diamonds, sapphires, gold. These guys were $20,000 each, or $1 million for a set of 50, made by a Russian-based World of Diamonds group. I've never seen one of these, but imagine if you were at dinner with these folks and you were like, I'll take this one home as a souvenir. You're like, get back here, they have a metal detector. Okay, so the next question that I'm asked most is, what's your favorite swizzle stick? And my first, after Scully, who I'm still deeply in love with, was dark blue. It was a picture, it had a top of a blue cat in a tuxedo, holding a wheel of cheese. And, if anything was going to get your imagination stirring, these little guys were getting to me. If you listen to the story, there's the marking reads Cheshire cheese. It was a pub in London. It was built in 1506. Apparently they had this delicious cheese pudding, and I don't know what that is. The Cheshire Cheese pub burned to the ground during the Great London Fire. The pub, though, raised from the ashes like a phoenix and was rebuilt, still there. Excuse me. So I had this swizzle stick in my hand, and looking at it, I said, that's an interesting story, but there was no plastic in the 1500s. And where, lo and behold, were these Cheshire cheese tuxedo-wearing, cheese-holding little felines? A menu cover for a Sheraton Hotel franchise steakhouse. Just kind of swiped him. And they called their pubs Cheshire Cheese. I don't know when they disappeared, but I couldn't find them anymore. I think these are spectacular, probably because of the story. Now, Swizzle Sticks, plastic, in your drink, probably in somebody's mouth. Why do you want to collect them? Who would even want these? Well, there was a showgirl. Her name was Edith Rourke. They called her an eye filler because she filled your eyes with beauty, I suppose. And her dressing room was robbed of all her jewels and underwear. And that was sad to her, but the Swizzle Stick theft was too much. She said, those were given to me by the Sheikh Prince Muhammad Ali Ishrayim. And she said it was a gold one studded with sapphires, and she was devastated. So the newspapers all picked it up. Okay, so now we've talked about wood and plastic, blah, blah, blah. What's the largest Swizzle Stick? Well, there's a competition, I think. There's a cool artist who is making these guys. An artist named David Chris makes these, hand carves them. You tell him the name of what you want. And here's this lovely lady. I don't know who she is, but if she's in the audience, I didn't mean to steal your picture. Oh, here's another one. This is the original style Swizzle Sticks. So now let's just go to what you came for, I suppose, Swizzle Sticks in Vegas casinos. One of the things that just piqued my interest in these sticks was the number of these casinos that are no longer here. Especially the ones that were imploded, which I've seen a few on YouTube. I don't know if you've all seen any of the casino implosions, but the Dunes in '93, the Sands in 1996, the Hacienda, the Aladdin, the Desert Inn, the Stardust Casino, the New Frontier. So those just made me think, you better get these because you can't go over and pick one up anymore, and what stories they tell. So one of my, I don't know if this is my favorite story, but it is a story about the old MGM Grand. Their logo was a giant lion, of course, the MGM lion. The Swizzle Sticks were kind of like this, and they ended up like this little copper one on the side there. It's just a very inexpensive piece of plastic without a lot of visual interest. And then I came across this one. And it's a flying monkey from The Wizard of Oz. And some of you know, if you know the MGM Graham story. But it stopped me in my tracks, like, why is the flying monkey on an MGM swizzle? And the answer is that after the MGM had a really tragic fire, they rebuilt in a new location with a Wizard of Oz theme and the Emerald City. And there she is. Here is part of the grand opening from that event. And so you never know when you look at a Swizzle Stick. You have to listen hard, and you'll find interesting histories behind so many of them. The next one is the Dunes. The Dunes had a sultan, I want to say paper mache, but I think it was some other fiberglass type of substance, but this was the old sultan in front of the original Dunes. And here was their new logo later on. And thus, we have two kinds of Swizzle Sticks from the Dunes. We have the old design with the sultan and the new design with that kind of I don't know what the shape, you could tell me what the shape is, but you can see that they went from very elaborate, probably expensive molded plastic shapes to a very simple, easy to stamp out, cheaper kind of plastic. But either way, there's no more dunes. The Aladdin had kind of a similar experience. It had all kinds of original Aladdin's lamp swizzle sticks, like the yellow one. And that blue straight stick in the middle was the last one they made. And you kind of go, well, the mystery was gone by the time they imploded, the poor thing. But I love the little gold Aladdin lamps one, and the big Aladdin swizzle stick there came in a lot of different colors. So they suffered a similar fate of expense, cost of plastic, basically, cost of doing business. So I brought another one here from the Sahara. Also kind of cool visual interest with the font and everything. And of course, the one you probably already know that has not been imploded, thank goodness, is the flamingo. And these guys are so beautiful. And they actually did issue them in all different colors. So you can find a blue or a green or a yellow flamingo, but only in Vegas. So I think I'll kind of end with a thank you to the Swizzle ancestors without which I would not be giving a talk about swizzle sticks. There was an African proverb, when an elder dies, it is as if an entire library has burned to the ground. And that really strikes me because with chips, with swizzles, we collect them, we live, we die, our collections, I don't know. They may go to someone else, or they may have a sad fate, and it is like that library burning to the ground at that moment. And I'm trying to carry on that tradition and get you all enthusiastic about their grooviness. So thank you, Swizzle ancestors. This is Roy Horay. His quote was, "The most valuable swizzle stick is the one you don't have in your collection." And that's true for chips too. So if you really want it, you might pay. And his co-founder, Polly Rusk, who was a big motorcycle riding fisher woman. She made clubs everywhere she went. She rode around in this trailer that was called the Rollin' Hogan. It had a name, and all those swizzle sticks she had made at her own expense. So Polly and Ray, thank you. When Polly died, Ray promised to run the club until as long as we possibly can. And for the last decade, his promise has become my own. Thank you. Big finish. Now, I'm going to work on that ending, but I wanted to give a little time just in case you have any questions about swizzle sticks or stories. Sure.
Actually, two questions. One, do you collect any glass swizzle sticks? There's a few here in Vegas that are quite valuable, but what do you think about glass swizzle sticks?
I love glass swizzle sticks. The problem with them for me is I'm so afraid of breaking them, but I have these huge boxes of them that I never touch. And I don't know the interesting Vegas ones. Do you know one that you could say?
Golden Camel downtown, and there's several others.
Oh.
I don't collect them personally, but they're on.
You know of. Yeah. So the other disadvantage is they're very difficult to photograph. And I like to just put them up on House of Swizzle. I'll just plug. I get no money out of this plug. I don't sell anything. But House of Swizzle on Instagram, on Facebook, and on the web if you want to see more about Swizzle Club. You have anything?
We have a very prolific Swizzle Stick collector in our organization.
My doppelganger.
So Pam G, which I'll show you some of her stuff when this is over.
Yeah.
She does have a lot of northern Nevada, small club glass swizzle sticks.
Wow.
And those are very hard to find. Very, very hard to find. But she probably has in excess of 30 of them from different places, but also from downtown.
I'll have to go through mine. I think mine are more from the 40s, 50s, but I don't know if I have any from Vegas, but now I'm going to be on the lookout. Yeah, so thank you guys all for coming. You have a question and a question and a question? Okay, yes. 1, 2, 3, and a live audience. Go.
I have one with like a whistle on it. Did they use that to get service?
Yes. Hey, bartender. They also had what they called table knockers, and then they had drumsticks. The table knockers looked like a judge's gavel, and some people say that they were tapping them on the table, like instead of clapping, and some were hailing a bartender. And then someone else said that it was a warning that the police were coming. And everyone started, also possible. So yeah, go ahead. Or I lost track.
One
Yes.
other question.
Okay.
Recently, there's been on eBay and other places too, what I would call counterfeit, some people call them tribute keys. You know, the plastic key that has a real key attached for motel rooms, etc.
Oh yeah.
But they're making basically modern keys, but they look identical, almost identical anyway, to the old-fashioned keys. If you wanted one from the old Sands or the old Dunes, is there a problem with counterfeiting with Swizzle Sticks?
So far, no, but I wouldn't put anything past them. There's a handful of swizzle stick manufacturers, mostly using laser and flat stamp. There's a great company called Royer in Indiana, and they make these great figural ones, mainly for the tiki bar scene, which has given a whole resurgence to swizzle sticks. So the lion's share of swizzle sticks are printed in batches of 100,000 from China, and they're kind of all the same, and I don't think everyone's got their thinking cap on for the potential of, let's put it this way. TWA had a destination swizzle stick collection, like you got a different one on a different route, and there'd be like a skier in Colorado or something, and a pineapple in Hawaii, or from Hawaii. And just recently, the hotel in New York that they decorated, it's a whole TWA themed hotel, and they reissued these swizzle sticks. And someone brought me a set, and I was like, that's weird, they look kind of blurry. They were made out of recyclable plastic. You can't see the pattern at all. I think they copied it just by having an old swizzle stick and putting it in rather than recrafting the molds for them. And so those are an example. They're a replica, but if you set them right next to each other, it's night and day. Yeah, so I have imagined doing that because there's just such a beauty to them, and there's less and less of them over the years. Yeah.
So two questions. Putting tiki bars aside, what's the popularity of swizzle sticks that's still being used in bars and whatnot?
Besides tiki bars, it's not a hot market. Not that I have seen. Occasionally I come across one. Starbucks.
Starbucks sticks, every parking lot.
So sad. Yeah, the coffee stirrers. I don't think you should get me started on the coffee stirrers, but there was an infamous McDonald's stick that had a little tiny spoon in the 80s. Good.
And then second question.
Yeah.
I'm asking about a rumor. Rumor or denial. I heard from someone that there's animosity between Swizzle Stick collectors and casino collectors?
I
Ever
can't.
heard of anything?
I know, I can't believe it, because if anything, they're all such great go-withs, you know, like I would love a chip for some of these Swizzle Sticks, and you know, if you have a display, having a postcard or a menu or a matchbook or ashtray with the chip or with the swizzle, I can't imagine there being animosity.
There's no beef between the clubs.
No. My club has like 20 of my best friends, so it's not, we can't even compete. But yeah.
How big is the club?
There, at its height, there were 200, but it really was always a small group of friends from Vancouver and some in the Midwest and the East Coast who just kind of wanted to have an excuse to go to Vegas every couple of years and gamble and have their Swizzle Stick convention. I did kick off one in 2019, just before the pandemic, and I think there were like 12 people who came, but they were diehard Swizzle fans, and it was fun. So, you know, I don't care anymore about the numbers, but I do in the sense of, is there general interest? Is this thing going to completely die it's almost gone, you know? So, yes, sir. Troublemaker in the middle there. No, you're not.
I've been with the club for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have never heard that comment, okay? But aside from that, there was a TV series called Las Vegas, where, not
Las
Las
Vegas.
Vegas, but Dan Cannon.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
The one with, what TV series?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Montecito, and they had a convention at the hotel, the casino, and it was a Swizzle Stick convention.
Really?
Yeah, that was, you know, each TV series, hour-long series, usually had like 3 intertwining episodes going on. But one of them was a Swizzle Stick convention where the prize valuable Swizzle Stick got stolen. Yeah.
You know,
It was tongue-in-cheek.
I think it's
Swizzle Stick collection.
I think it's close to the truth that I was at a Swizzle Stick convention with a guy who had a astronaut Swizzle Stick from a Hilton long gone by, and he showed it to us and said it was his treasure, and somebody did steal it. How? They were all such nice people. Maybe they misunderstood and thought, because we were trading a lot of things, but that one broke my heart, or his. So it can happen. I would just say that Swizzle Stick Club stayed a certain small size because the founder of that club was very territorial, and allegedly someone came in without paying for the convention, and he chased him out of the room. Can you imagine? You finally find a Swizzle Stick fan, and you're like, get out! And so maybe we had internal beef. Yeah, so, all right. Anything? No, yes. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Long live the drink stirrer!